Likutei Halachot, Orach Chaim 4.3, paragraph Gimel. V'zeh bechinat hit'orerut hashena. This is the idea of waking up from sleep. Again, whether physical or mental or spiritual, and we're going to see how the idea from yesterday, from the last paragraph, has to do with the getting up in the morning. Ki ikar hashena nimshach. The idea of sleep, the fundamental reason for sleep, comes from mechamat shezot bechina shehi bechinat malchut, because this malchut again has sechel hatachton hanal, which is the sechel, the lower sechel, which means the things that we learn in order to help us understand teachings in a higher way, the lower teachings, which are usually metaphors or mishalim, things like that, that we said. Hi simucha lachitzonim. These things, which is called the malchut type of teachings, because it's the lower, because malchut is on the bottom of the 10 sefirot, it's the last one. And so therefore it's close to simucha lachitzonim, to the outer, which means to really the forces of evil, that they're hovering at the bottom of it, so to speak. And so they're next to that malchut. So sometimes they can take from it. And we'll see what it means, what they take from, how they take it. Kihi madrega hachorna shel hakidusha. Because again, malchut is the lowest level. Kayadua. Al ken lefamim hi nofelet alehem kanal. So sometimes it falls into them. Like you see the alligators at the bottom. God forbid if a person's on a tree or whatever it is, and to fall in them. So that's what it is. Now it means it can fall in them, not that it has to. So for malchut to be on the lower level is not bad, but for the sitra achra to get their hands on it, then it becomes, not the malchut becomes bad, it's just a bad situation that the malchut or the princess, the queen or the princess, is kidnapped, like we said again, saving the princess. Because again, she or it falls into the idea of the Sitra Achra, which is the 4 kingdoms. Now when we say the 4 kingdoms, that really comes later. The idea is, take it simply, it falls into the Sitra Achra. Now the Sitra Achra, the other side, has 4 levels to it. Just like Kiddusha has 4 levels that correspond to Yud Ke Vav Ke. Very quickly, starting from the top, you have Atzilut, Biriah, Yitzira, Asiya, which we're in Asiya. Same thing. To say Zel u'mat zeh asah Elokim, Hashem made everything equal and opposite, so evil has 4 levels to it. Not in Shamayim, it's really all down here, but there's 4 levels of it. That's why it's considered on the bottom that we fall into it. It's almost like there's a 4-story building and 1 basement. And the basement has four rooms in it, if you want to say, or 4 levels of the basement. And the 4 kingdoms which came later in life, which is in history, which is Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome, they each one represented, and their culture represented 1 level of evil, which we can get into, but we have it on other classes. So when we talk about the 4 kingdoms, it's not so much we're just throwing in the 4 kingdoms, the 4 countries, so to speak. It's really what's behind them, fueling them, is really, again, the Yetzer Hara, the Sitra Achra. That's the 4 levels that we're looking at. We're just calling it the 4 kingdoms because at the end, it's the physical kingdoms that did things that were not right. It's not like the Sitra Achra acts without a kingdom because people have to do the wrong thing. That's why we're saying it's the kingdom itself. Shehem b'chinat chokhmot chitzoniot, because they're about wisdom of the outer, meaning, wisdom that's not good, wisdom that goes off the track, wisdom that show the wrong thing. That's what it means, chokhmot chitzoniot. So again, it's the kingdoms that teach these things, but it's fueled from the Sitra Achra. shehem rotzim lehamshich ze hasechel alehem. They want to take this sechel from the malchut and bring it to them. Litgaber al yidei ze hasechel bechokhmot chitzoniyot shelahem. Because after all, the malchut brings with it power. It's the power of Hashem. So when they get it on their side, they're going to be able to have power and chokhmah and rise by leaps and bounds. That's why they're so successful. That's why there's great chokhmah in the Western culture and in philosophy. They're getting it from the power of the malchut, which is kidnapped on their side. Science, know-how, wealth. Even you look at colleges that teach the wrong thing, you could lose God by going to these colleges. You look at their campuses filled with greens and, like a whole place. By the time you walk to the building, you need a golf cart to go there. That's how big and wide, everything fancy. And then you go to a yeshiva, it's almost like a broken down old place with broken chairs, just some benches. Certainly not with forest and all this. Why is Hashem giving them all the success? Where's ours? Isn't Hashem on our side? So that's the idea. It's not about if Hashem is doing it or wants to do it or not. Everything kevayachol, we have to say, as it, so to speak. Hashem must fuel the goyim if his malchut is in captivity. It's like he voluntarily, this is how you would say it, he voluntarily submits himself to our actions. If we do sins, God forbid, it's like we're saying, God, we don't want you. So go to the goyim. And then his power goes to the goyim. It's not that the goyim want him either. After all, they're teaching things of atheism. But they'll sure use God's power to do it. What an ingrate. They use God's power and then they denounce him to the students in the colleges. They don't even realize what they're doing. Not only that, the whole thing of success, the stock market, Wall Street, everything, whatever the goyim all over the world. Even Israel, the country, it only started now to become successful. It was just for 2,000 years desolate, while the superpowers was everybody else. So why is Hashem doing it? Because the malchut has been in kidnapped stage. That's what the galut is for 2,000 years, really. And that's why you had the 4 kingdoms in this exile of 2,000 years. Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. And each one had a special nuance of how they want to destroy the knowledge of God. And that's really the level of the klipa, sitra achra. Each one had another level to it, which again, we can see about it in another place. So that's what they're doing. They want the malchut so that they can gain the power, just not for no reason. Kemoshe katuv sham, like it says there, where we quoted from before. That's why we need sleep. Now let's see why we need sleep. Well, let's see now. Meaning, if a person went to the college and he got all messed up in his mind and he doesn't see God now the right way, or he barely even recognizes him, so what he has to do is, he has to sleep it off. That's what it means. What do you mean sleep it off? Don't go trying to say, oh, the professor means this, the professor means that. Let's say you want to get back to religion, meaning, if you're not interested, forget it, you're not even interested. But a guy who's now interested to try and learn the right way, what does he have to do? He has to sleep off what he did before. Meaning close your mind. Just like when you sleep, you're not thinking. So turn off your mind from everything they said. Don't try and work it in to what you're learning new now. Don't work it in. Get rid of it. Put your mind on off just till you get that out of your head. And then you wake up and start new. That's what it means to wake up like a lion, which we'll see at the end. So that's what sleeping here has to do with. Shutting your mind from those extraneous thoughts that you might have learned and you shouldn't have, but you did. The only way to get rid of it is to close your mind and say, I'm not going to think of what they said, just turn it off. And then you learn new from fresh. You start fresh and learn new with the right type of head. That's the only way to get rid of the influence that they gave you. Now let's read it here and I'll kind of sum it up. Hainu, kol zman shecholin l'shtamesh im ze sechel b'kedusha. Anytime you can use this sechel in a good way, meaning we said there's two categories. There's the higher knowledge, which is like the Kabbalah, which is not easy to understand. And then there's the lower knowledge, which is the Malchut. Now, even though it's called lower, it doesn't mean anything's bad yet. It's just, metaphors and things. It could be science, but science in a kosher way of understanding the universe. So level 1 is higher knowledge, level 2 is lower knowledge, level 3 is when the lower knowledge is mistaught. And that's the idea. When the lower knowledge is mistaught, because they'll teach you science in a wrong way. So that becomes what we're talking about here with the klipot and the kingdoms. But if you want to learn the lower knowledge in the right way, more power to you. Go do it. And then you don't need to sleep anything off. So that's why it says, as long as you're using the sechel in Kedusha, even the lower sechel, sheyuchal lesabeb al yado lavo lasagat elokut. Remember all the things that are surrounding and preliminary information. You want to learn that, which is the lower, in order to learn the higher, the hasagav elokut. So do that. Hu mitzvah. It's mitzvah gedolah. L'shtamesh imo kefi ma sheyuchal, whatever you can. Kol echad lefi erko. Everyone according to his own way that he can and his level. Aval, but here comes the but. Aval kesha sechel matchil lipol. But if the sechel is going to start to fall and go into the wrong place, umitgabrim alav bilbulim, all the mix-up is going to come on it. Shezen nimshach mebechina hanal, which is going to be like we said before, shebechinat hachochmot hachitzonuyot, the extraneous chokhmah, which is the not good, shehem ha'arba malchuyot, which is the 4 kingdoms, rotzim letgaber lamshich zeh sechel alehem, because they want to bring on the sechel to them. Az sirichim lishan, then you have to sleep. Shehu histaklut hadat, which is to get rid of the dat, again to make like I know nothing now. Dehainu lesalek dato legamre, to take away your dat all the way. Umisham ikar bechnat hashena, and this is the main part of sleep, like we said. Ve'al ken b'shat shena, therefore in the time of sleep, haneshama shia sechel, the neshama which is the sechel. You now have a definition for neshama. Neshama is in the intellect. Of course, the neshama is the spiritual part of us. But when we look at ourselves, you could say, here it says it, shehi ha-sechel, it is the sechel. You can look at it, that is, meaning that intellect that we have, it's really the neshama thinking. The neshama thinks. That's really the sechel. Ba'a betoch emunah. Now it's going to come into an emunah stage. Because again, when we don't know da'at, we're in emunah stage. Like it says, Hadashim la bikarim rabba emunatecha. Like we said many times. Ki az sirichim l'salek ha-sechel legamre, because now we have to get rid of the sechel totally, v'lismok rak al emunah levad, and rely only on faith emunah. Now this means, again, when a person has learned from the wrong places, so even if it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon, doesn't mean he's going to sleep. It just means by him now saying, I'm not going to listen to them anymore and shutting off everything, so he's in emunah mode, because he's acting like he doesn't know anything now. I'm going to make believe I don't know anything because I realize it's all false. So now I have to have emunah, because what's going to get me through anything? I now don't know anything yet. I didn't learn yet, and I'm about to embark on learning. But until I get some information, I have to be on emunah. I listen to the rabbis and the Torah simply because I have emunah, because I have no answers. All I did was get rid of now all the bad answers and explanations. So you're on emunah mode. V'alken b'shat shena. So in the time of sleep, again, sleep, whether it's real sleep or your own personal sleep, sitra de mota shalit, the side of, again, sitra achra, but now it's called the sitra of death, mota shalit, is now in charge. Because we know in the night, sitra achra and sitra de motat, sleep is the 60th of death. But it means in your life, when you show now that you know nothing and you didn't yet learn the right thing, it's almost like the sitra achra still has a hold on you, because you learned all the wrong things and you don't know now the right things. So in a way, you're in a bad spot. And that's why you got to do the right things quickly before you even get worse. So the sitra de mota is kind of on you, and you've got to deal with it by doing the right things. Kamuva b'Zohar HaKadosh, like it says in the Zohar and Bimidbar. Ki az mistalek ha-chayim, because the chayim goes away, God forbid, shenimshach me'or hapanim, which is from the light of the face, and not meaning sitra achra is the opposite, the turning of the side, which means the back of the side, where you don't see clearly Hashem. So again, at night, we don't get light from the or hapanim. Umitgabrim bechinat arba malchuyot shem sitra demota. But we get the light from the four kingdoms, which is the sitra of mota, or sitra achra. Ve'az ikar hakiyum al yidei emunah. And so the only way really to keep on existing is from emunah. Al yidei shekorin kiryat shema she'al hamita bekavana. Shehi bechinat emunah. Now Rav Natan Zali throws in that what we do for emunah, and to strengthen the emunah, and to strengthen the da'at that's coming in the morning, is to say Kriyat Shema of the bed. Now it says She'al hamita, on the bed. Doesn't mean you have to be on your bed. You could sit down in the chair and then go to bed. It means of the bed. Kriyat Shema of the nighttime is very important. It also saves us from all this death, from the Sitra Achra coming on us, God forbid, because our soul leaves and who knows what's happening with it, especially if a guy was all messed up in his thoughts from before. So Kriyat Shema protects a person. And you say it b'kavanah, like it says. And this is like emunah. It's the aspect of emunah, again, to sleep that way. Ki be'et shechochmot chitzoniyot, because when these extraneous wisdoms, shehem kalal kol minei bilbulim, which is all these mixed up information, sheyesh lechol adam sheba'olam, that people have in the world, v'chol ha'machshavot ra'ot, v'zarim v'hirhurim v'rayonim ra'im, and all these bad thoughts and bad ideas and everything like that, shekulam nimshachin mebechinat hakilipot, which is coming from the idea of the kilipot, shehem arba malchuyot, which is the four kingdoms, which is shehem chochmot chitzoniyot, which is the extraneous wisdoms, keshehem matchilim litgaber al hasechel, when they start to gain power on our sechel, on our intellect, azai tzirichin lesalek hadat legamre. We have to then get rid of our da'at totally, v'lismoch al emunah, and to rely on emunah, which is kind of like we said. We have to act as though we don't know anything anymore. We throw out everything they taught us, and now we're on emunah mode until we start to learn more. Then we'll be in da'at mode. But for now, when you're getting rid of them, and now you don't have new information yet, you're in emunah mode. Shezeu bichinat shena, which is again a sleep mode, bichinat of sleep. Shehu histahalukut hadat, where it means the da'at went away. She'az ba'a haneshama betoch emunah. Now the neshama is going into emunah. Kmo shekatuv b'makom acher, like it says in the Likutei Maharan, Siman 35. You can look it up there. V'afal pi shashana hi tova gedolah. Now Rab Natan flips the coin a little. Even though sleep is good, still too much sleep is no good. Aval tzrichin letgaber shelo yishan yoter midai. Why not too much sleep? Because it means you're not learning anything. You have to sleep off what they taught you, but then you got to get up and learn the new thing. So you don't want to sleep off everything and not learn any more. That's what it means. And that's what it means, get up like a lion, to break the sleep, meaning don't be in non-learning mode now. You have to be in learning mode. To learn utfilah and tefillah. Kedei lachtoch ulha'alot et ha'malchut chokhmah takta'a mehem. In order to slice away and lift up the malchut of chokhmah, the bottom type of chokhmah, which is again the mishalim, the metaphors, from them, because it means they had it. And that's how you break away. You have to break away by sleeping, and then you lift it up by starting to wake up, meaning learning the right thing, because that's what it means to wake up. And now you're going to lift up the malchut from the pits and from the mud, and you're going to lift it up to the right place, which is to teach the metaphors of the Kabbalah in the right way. So you're still on metaphor. You didn't get to the higher knowledge. That's still either for later or for great tzaddikim or for us if we get glimpses of it. But the main thing is, again, in this world, we're here to learn bottom information, but kosher bottom information. That's the idea. So that from this we'll merit to get the real, what's called hasagot elokut, which is the higher knowledge, meaning eventually we'll get to there, Bezrat Hashem. V'zeh, like it says in the Haggah, the Ramah, Shviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. I put Hashem before me always. Sheyizkeh lehakir et Hashem yitbarach. Meaning after you got up like a lion, you're ready to learn the new information, which is putting Hashem before you. So that's why, again, it fits to say, get up like a lion, and then say Hashem is before me. Because that's what your next step is. Lehakir et Hashem yitbarach, to recognize Hashem, and in the right way. Dehainu she'asik elokuto yitbarach, to understand, again, godliness and God's ways. Ad she'shaveh oto yitbarach lenegdo tamid, until Hashem is placed really before you, v'lo yishkach oto kerega, and you won't forget Him even for 1 minute. And this is the goal at the end, what we have to do.